team. It looked tricky for Fnatic, I still feel.
I think it was an uphill battle, but
Yes.
they played it well.
They outplayed Vitality in the game itself, and that's where Fnatic deserves all the credit. New pick and ban phase, new game.
New game.
See if they can indeed turn things around here. Fnatic now on the blue side. They start things off with the Trundle ban.
I like it. Trundle, for me, Trundle Poppy is a duo that you need to respect. Either you pick one, give one away, or maybe on blue side you ban one and you force the other team to ban the other, because you will first pick that Poppy if it's available.
But that's also information for the other team then, saying, okay, you will very likely first pick that Poppy. We feel like we maybe have, you know, a pick that can do okay into it. So therefore we will give you that Poppy and then take the 2 strong picks for ourselves. Could be the Azir one more time for Vitality. The reason you're banning Varus on blue side, Krepo, we have talked so much about this in the office.
People are tired of it.
Yeah, they're basically tired of hearing it, but you don't want that last pick Varus to come in against your Azir comp. So as the counter, basically. Yeah,
it basically allows Fnatic to pick up Azir either first pick or on second rotation and not really get punished too hard. There are some counter picks available. The Varus is the most prominent one. I hope somehow that it plays out, that now Poppy gets banned third by Vitality. Fnatic seemingly really like Azir, and then we get the Sivir Maokai from Vitality. It's my favorite purple side rotation on the first 2 picks, only if Poppy and Trundle are out though.
Fnatic does have a ban here though to pull on either of those. Could be the Sivir ban if they want to first pick the Azir, as an example, because now on blue side it's all about taking away the 2 most likely picks the other team will take in their first rotation. It is still open, Sivir Maokai. We know Hjarnan is a fantastic Sivir player.
But we
need Cabochard, he loves to play the Maokai. Again, that's all the mind games, you know, because if you first pick Azir and they go Sivir Maokai, you go Poppy. So they might actually go Poppy instead with the Sivir.
Ooh, but Poppy into Maokai is absolutely brutal.
And that's why I think Vitality wants it. But Fnatic also wants it. Like, you're almost forced to do it.
Fnatic have to take Poppy here because it is just the better tank that's left available. The only matchup that is good against it is, guess what? Trundle. And that was Fnatic's first ban.
But look what Vitality did with their ban. Kassadin last on purple side. Normally Kassadin is a last pick only. But they're also, I feel, saying if you pick Poppy, we can still go Azir because now Kassadin is gone. And also the Varus, Corki are still being picked away. So that foundation of a poke comp against the Azir. So I feel like they put themselves in a situation where they could pick it.
Sivir Azir would be really nice.
They have to take it here. They have to take it.
But Jhin is also...
Oh, he does it! All right. That's the leaf out of the Rekkles book. I like it. So Jhin Azir, I mean, this is a lot of poke.
I mean,
already.
This entire pick and ban phase, now 2 games running, has been built around Azir.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, so we're going to ban all this and the Kassadin on purple side so we can take the Azir when you first pick the Poppy. And the last game again with the last pick Azir coming, or last pick Kassadin. Does Fnatic have another potential counter ready?
I think, personally, it's time for the Vel'Koz.
Hey, we have seen the matchup.
It's happened before.
It's actually a good matchup for Vel'Koz, but even good matchups against Azir, like, you don't destroy him. No. He will actually do well in almost everything, and that's the thing about the Kassadin. Azir will destroy the Kassadin in the early game, and it didn't happen for Nukeduck, which was one of the problems also in the last game.
There is still Lissandra if you just want to play the Lissandra Sivir comp that Fnatic can still opt into. It just revolves around pushing, force pushing mid and then rotating towards the Sivir that will be AFK pushing you. It's really rough, I think, though. Sivir into Jhin seems like a tricky lane. It's easy to spell shield to W, but you can take some nasty trades from the...
Yeah, but I still think Sivir can just focus on just pushing wave there.
Depends on the support.
Obviously, yeah, depends on support. It is going to be Alistar on the side of Fnatic, but a Lissandra Sivir comp is very likely because Jhin is also weak against these hard engaged compositions.
Oh yeah, he gets overrun.
Like Lissandra, he just gets fucking destroyed.
There we go. Let's take a look on the other side.
That's all we need to know.
No, yeah, no. We move on fast.
Move on, guys, move on.
All right, so the Alistar's picked up. We could still see the Sivir from Fnatic, but I'm interested in his Spirit's performance again on this Kindred.
Yeah.
Because he was a monster, especially out-farming Shook and still having a bigger impact around the lanes.
He also had probably the best possible lane swap for Kindred ever seen.
Yeah.
With like double Rift Scuttler early on.
Guys, I'm going to peace out in the jungle. You guys play this game, macro, micro. I don't really care. I'm just going to farm.
And he got double passive stack very early with the Rift Scuttlers. Vitality again running the Thresh. It is their normal #1 support pick for KaSing. And again, the Shook Gragas coming in. So it's somewhat the same kind of composition for them. And we will probably get that Lissandra Sivir we mentioned.
You called it.
Run over the Jhin. I'm not going to add the other part.
Yeah. Yeah. So Fnatic, I mean, it's just a Sivir comp. No worries about it. They've got some lockdown. They've got CC. They've got disengage. They've got engage. They can run it. Vitality. The thing is, if Vitality can keep a front line around this Jhin, around this Azir, that last pick is going to be so crucial. What is Cabochard going to take here? Does he go Nautilus again?
I mean, he has to find a tank here that he can play. I think Nautilus has a slightly better matchup into the Poppy early. Maokai has a really rough level 4 or 5 where Poppy, if she controls and manipulates the wave well enough, it is so hard to play against. One thing I want to talk about that I like with Sivir comps generally is just the AFK push. If you have like Sivir Janna, Sivir Bard, you can put pressure on the tower. But right now, Sivir Alistar actually doesn't have lane control opposed to Jhin Thresh, so she actually loses the push here if Jhin Thresh go aggro. And that actually kind of ruins the whole setup of this Lissandra Sivir interaction.
There
in the early
is.
game.
Oh,
okay, we've seen this. Definitely a strong pick in the top lane. Seen more and more in Korea. Was played earlier today in a lot of the games up in the top lane. Just full tank Ekko. Go for the Iceborne Gauntlet in there. Sunfire. It's a very standard tank build, obviously.
It's annoying. It's just really annoying to deal with.
It is, but it's one of these picks that we have to see against the likes of a Poppy. Because Poppy's just so good against the very generic tanks like Nautilus and Maokai. Percent damage, she just outduels them, they can't kill her. Still, this composition from Fnatic is very, very strong. And I really like the 1-3-1 split push you do have with Poppy and Lissandra, because again, Poppy will outduel most tanks, and because Lissandra with TP will have pushing power in a side lane after. And Vitality couldn't play properly 1-3-1 in the last game, so I feel like Fnatic coming out with a very strong pick and ban phase here.
We talked about Fnatic having a tricky composition to pull off. It's Vitality that has it on their side. Really curious to see if they're able to do it, as Sean still all smiles, shaking hands with Daylor off the stage. His team is down 0-1, even though they came into today the favorites. Fnatic, on their side, they always seem to find a little something, and maybe this is the start of it, but we'll have to see if the Sivir comp can beat out the Jhin.
For me, this is just a really fun two type of compositions to watch and try and figure out whether it's standard lanes or lane swaps, because generally Sivir pushes in the tower all the time. Right now, as we said before, that's countered by Thresh Jhin. But if you look at how quick they can lane swap overall, you have Sivir, Alistar, Poppy. If Poppy starts Q, the tempo you can generate in that lane swap, as we head into the game right here.
Crowd
Little moment, really,
up.
before I bore the crowd again with the lane swap. I think if Fnatic get a lane swap, they really put Vitality in a big disadvantage again. Because Ekko will scale slower into the game. They have the higher tempo by a tiny bit in the lane swap, and they open up the map for these rotations, and then the dives with that Lissandra.
Take a look, zeroing in on that Lissandra as we go into game number 2.
In case you were confused.
You got to be able to count in the LCS, and Fnatic fans can count 1-0 on the board right now.
They can also count the alphabet in Norwegian, I believe, because this is Norwegian eSports school here.
It
Big
is.
shout out to our Norwegian eSports class. Come in mass today.
Did you guys know I'm actually 25% Norwegian?
Which 25%?
My right leg.
Right leg. All right, good to know.
That is a useful fact. I'm going to store that one in my cap.
Yeah.
Fnatic, we'll take a look if they do go for that lane swap.
I don't think it's that useful, actually.
I
never
just
know.
wanted to make this conversation about me. That was it.
Well,
And it worked.
It's still feeling after effects from Draven Day yesterday, aren't you?
Of course.
Yeah. All right. So
What a
Vitality,
bot lane performance.
Let's talk the lane swap though, because Vitality have moved up to the top side without any vision. They're anticipating this, but they're walking over the ward now to Fnatic swap back.
Oh, hang on, the corner. Ah, they don't do it. They don't go for the play. Never
Still, even if you did here, I feel like just the
lose,
return damage from the double range is probably better. But they do spot them on top side, so Vitality will get the 2v2 lane.
And it changes the push prio, because right now they don't challenge here early. So once Sivir gets the push early, she can actually keep pushing over and over. So this is really good.
Also taking a longer route around. He's actually staying around mid lane. He maybe wants to gank. He did the exact same thing last game, but that was against the KaSing.
Yeah.
Now Hjarnan has to wait for the wave. They already knew they had lost the push when they invaded in, and Fnatic just kind of snuck around them up to the top side.
He's playing Jhin with no auto attacks and a spell that ruins all the creeps, so he may actually just get one CS here. Nope.
No, he's not going to get one.
I got CS lead for Rekkles already.
Ouch. All right, let's not show that for the rest of the game. Let's just stay on the masteries.
Oh, and they go back
Pretty
to Grom.
standard stuff across the board.
Oh, this is actually really smart. So Fnatic see them come. They know they lose a duel. They go for push pyro early. Then they get to the Groms. Do not really challenge this wave. They don't want to trade. And they just play on an experience advantage. And then this wave will automatically push back to Fnatic.
Yep.
They're playing a really calculated style here, already level 2. And now they have access to some sustain. Obviously nerfed a bit, but it means that Alistar can step forward and zone a bit more.
Yeah, Keystones coming in. No real surprise. Further battle for Kindred, obviously in the jungle, not Strength of the Ages. Okay, I guess there's the KaSing Thunderlords like it did last game. It didn't benefit him at all because they went a lane swap, but now they do have the 2v2 lane. And also Deathfire Touch, of course, for Jhin. Important, especially late game, because your ulti is single target damage when it lands in after the change that happened to him. So that Deathfire Touch will do full damage. And it's a lot in the late game when you stack up so much AD.
Yep. At least for KaSing, he's managed to go the Exhaust Summoner spell this time around. Last time that Ignite lasted him the level 2.
Keeps him in place so the Thunderlord will proc. Ah, I see it. I see it.
Yeah. It's bloodthirsty KaSing for real. Take a look at Cabochard and Gamsu in their 1v1. I want to really understand a little bit more about how this Ekko Poppy matchup goes. You guys have been talking about it a lot, but I've only seen it a few games in Korea.
I mean, the whole thing about a Poppy matchup is that you want to put your opponent either in a wall or you E him, and then you put the slow on him, and you want to make sure your cube double procs. Ekko can at least dodge a lot of that, and has really good early push too with those Qs on the minion wave. He's just really nimble.
Yeah, but while it is Ekko and you feel like there should be a lot of action,
well, there you go.
Get some.
He's not nimble when he eats a faceplant on the wall though.
Oh, he's taking a lot. Steadfast presence on Gamsu is hunting. He will back away though, but Spirit looking to set up a dive, or not.
Well, Spirit is farming. If he happens to stumble upon an enemy champion along the way, maybe.
Isn't that just another camp, technically, to take?
The Cabo camp?
The Capo camp here gives a bit of extra gold for you. Respawns fairly quickly as well. You start, and you can just keep clearing it.
It's definitely been the case last game. Spirit, though, opts to just clear out some jungle and spook Cabochard just a little bit, who will be teleporting down to reset against Gamsu.
So TP advantage for Gamsu now. What normally will happen in a lane like this, after TP has been used early, is you push it in, you recall, and you don't teleport back to lane. You run back to the lane. And you save your TP, because you're level 5 now, you're going to be 6 fairly soon, and then you can start putting pressure
or you can dive top
on the other side of the map. Especially with Poppy, she's fantastic at diving these towers, because once you're stuck there, you're near a wall, almost no matter what, and you get knocked into it, and you can set up plays. Gamsu, on the other hand, is being greedy for farm here and saying, I just want to keep my lead.
I think there's a case to be made for both plays. It's really hard to get the teleport play in top though, because Hjarnan and KaSing always have the push priority because they're double range. So it's hard for Fnatic to get a ward behind that actually enables a teleport. And obviously you want to keep Cabochard down because he played really poorly from behind.
The thing is, you just move up your jungler to help you place the ward. You have double TP as well. You would have had double TP, but instead now, Vitality can actually go for a play.
Yeah, that hitbox. 3-on-2, Rekkles. He's going to be walking it out, but Klaj is the one who's body tanking the rest of it all still. Not able to find any damage there.
No one dies. But this is the kind of play that will get punished instantly by double TP. Because you would just TP straight on them and say, all right, here's a 5v3. We're going to win this one, we're going to take it. But that's obviously what Vitality knew. Once they saw the TP on bottom side from Gamsu, we can now go for the gank. We only have to respect Febiven, who's a pre-level 6 Lissandra. And therefore it is okay for Vitality to go for the gank. Nothing really comes from it, even in CS, except for the bottom lane.
Klaj did play that well here. He goes for a combo. That's a little bold on his mate, though.
Yeah, they pulled him in, but they were just yanking his chain. He's walking out. Still, some serious damage carved out of his backside. Now Shook going in, flashing to finish out the body slam, and Spirit's in some trouble here. Cabochard now looking to revenge, but the arrow dance over the wall, and the Poppy Hammer sends him flying all the way back.
Spirit saves the flash, gets another dash over the wall, and obviously knew he wasn't going to die after Gamsu saved him. Something we've seen from Fnatic in the later parts of LCS is a lot more focus around Gamsu.
I think it's the right play. I think it's the right play if you're a team like Fnatic, who now actually have a support that seems to be understanding his boundaries better. On that gank, I think Klaj played it extraordinarily well. He peeled first for Rekkles, got a double combo out, then walked out and held his flash. He played it perfectly, and then it allows, obviously, Spirit to get Gamsu rolling, and then once Gamsu gets rolling, guess what? Double TP either top, or you play the 1-3-1 Sivir mid, and suddenly Fnatic are playing a comfortable game.
Yeah, we will definitely see Fnatic run a proper 1-3-1 later with Febiven side lane, and Gamsu, of course, in the opposite lane, and as a Sivir, it's where AD carries shine. You sit mid and you wave clear. It's all you do for about, what, 20 minutes, and then you wait for your team to win side lanes and collapse in mid, and then you can start joining the fights. Yeah. As a Sivir, of course. 20 minutes, a little bit of an overstatement, but you guys get the point.
You can just go on in and start the fights off, and it's been fairly even for those two AD carries for now as they just continue to trade a little bit back and forth, taking stock of where the game's at. It's a slight lead for Fnatic, but as you said, it's more than just the gold. It's the comfortability they're playing with right now. This comp is much more straightforward, and Vitality's is hard to execute.
And again, also, Febiven doing more than fine in this 1v1 mid lane against the Azir. So Fnatic in last game didn't get punished by the Azir pick. This game they first picked the Poppy, who again is by far the best top lane pick once Trundle is banned. And saying you can take Azir one more time, we take Lissandra, we play split push, and right now Febiven has pushed in another wave.
We have to look at some of the reasons why we were praising Nukeduck. Gamsu here.
Oh, nice.
Nice W here, cancelling obviously the mini dash that Cabochard wants to use. But back to Nukeduck, we praised him because he was actually one of the best self-sustaining mid laners. He had the lowest jungle gravity in the league for a very long time, which means, if you don't know what that means, Shook wasn't camping for Nukeduck. So he was playing very fine. Jankers kind of jokes about it, farming at his tower. But that means he's playing a passive gameplay-oriented style where he doesn't really punish his opposing mid lane. So Fnatic get away with this Azir matchup.
We can see TP top here now. It comes in from Febiven.
On the hunt, they look for KaSing. Can they find him? He's going to play back up, and the Claw's coming in. They put him in Tomb, and that is going to be first blood over to Rekkles. Looking for revenge is Nukeduck, and the curtain call does not find enough damage.
And a very big part of why Lissandra is such a good pick right now is because she runs teleport, and her ganks are very, very effective. This is a very textbook play from Fnatic, and there's very little you can do as a Vitality team because you needed your jungler to be there already. Fnatic would just call off the dive then, and just push in another wave.
And this is why I don't like the fact that Nukeduck's not aggressively challenging the push against Febiven.
It's a problem. Nukeduck have not been able to take control of this mid lane.
And more importantly, this Thresh pick too. It works if you're making picks, but I think Thresh has seen a decline in the current meta game versus some of these tank supports like a Braum, maybe even a Bard. Something that can escape. Spirit now gets hooked. Hook Lantern.
Thing wants to prove you wrong.
Yep, there's the flash already burned. See if they can take him down here. They can. It's Shook with the kill, but the hook helped out.
This is what Thresh is made for.
There you go.
There.
So they equalize the kills.
Opposite class of first.
Yeah, it does happen. Oh! Febby scoots his way out. Does not get hit by the Emperor's Divide, and Nukeduck is kicking himself.
Built the wrong in the wrong place. Febiven escapes. And Nukeduck tried to go aggressive. His jungler just got a kill. His support was coming in towards the mid lane as well. Had he been able to knock Febiven back, could probably force the flash from him straight away just by basically having Febiven know that two guys are coming from the side. And he had to respect that, but he stays alive. Dexter wants to join in. If he wants to take all the credit, he can just be on the caster desk instead. We out of here.
Cabo will need to be a beast on this Ekko too. Last game, we got caught out of position a number of times. He did not really do what we've expected of him on this team. Admittedly, yes, he's on a tank. It's a different meta. It's a different time now. But as Stress said on the desk, does that gimp him?
I mean, yeah.
It gives the advantage he has. If you are the better player overall and the mechanical player, regardless whether you're Cabo or not, your advantage will not be as big if you're playing tanks versus tanks. Because the extremes are just farther, are closer together when you're playing tanks. If you play skill matchups like that snowball, like a Fiora, once you start winning one kill, it's over.
Mitch, let's look at the bottom lane here.
All right, Martin.
There we go, Mitch.
And Hjarnan might be in some trouble. Teleport around the side. KaSing's already down, and Cabo completes it, but it's a 2v5. Hjarnan just melts in the back, and Febiven getting the credit for that one means Cabo is running with his tail between his legs.
And this is why we sang so much praise to the Sivir Lissandra double TP competition with Trundle.
I think it's one of the strongest comps you can run in this current meta here because you have so much wave push to set up these dives. Nukeduck, he's out of here.
And it's not like Vitality don't know this. This composition has been played in every region multiple weeks already now, and teams have seen it. They know the strengths, they know these play patterns. The problem is there is so little you can do against it, and that just makes it beautiful.
And if we want to go back to Dexter's tweet here, Ekko definitely is a fantastic pick up on top lane, but Poppy just offers everything you want in this meta. Look here, TP coming in from Gamsu. Of course, his team doesn't really need him at this point. They already killed him, but he joins in. Look at that stun.
Yeah.
Look at that stun right there, you know. That's the Poppy pick. That's why we like it. Everything else was also very well done, but we just want to talk about Poppy.
Yeah, I mean, Fnatic get in, they grab two kills, they get the tower, they get out, they get Drake. Everything they wanted on the board. They're 3,000 gold up, and we're 12 minutes in. This is big for them.
This is fantastic to see that they really understand their compositions, how to play it, but they also understand the little things to stay in the game. Last game, they had a very tall amount to climb, but they made the right instant pivots. You know, these little things here and there. Back off, punish this mistake right here. Here as well, they read the situation with the bot lane coming in. They went for the push early Grom, so they stayed even in lane. Like, really good adaptation from Fnatic.
I think it's fair to say Fnatic right now are just reading the game 5-6 seconds faster than Vitality every time. Last game was the same deal. Like, oh, you are slightly overextending. I know you want one more wave. I know it only takes you a few more seconds, but that's where we strike and we kill you. Slow down the game. This one here, oh, we can set up a TP gang. Shook wasn't there on top side. Obviously, not blaming him for the play, but he wasn't nearby top side, so Fnatic could execute the gank. Doing the same on bottom side now. And at this point, it just snowballs out of control.
Yeah. Cabochard wishing he could go 6 seconds in the future as well. Unfortunately, only goes back in the past.
Yep.
And Vitality need to start looking ahead. This game is looking rough for them. If they can't execute that poke, they can start picking kills, but they've only got 1 to the 3 that Fnatic have managed to secure. Lost out on a dragon, not secured any towers.
And it's so hard to make picks on any of these champions. Like, if you catch Spirit, at least he can buy some time with his ultimate, unless you knock him out. Gamsu can always hammer, go for hammer time. And Febiven, self-ulti, spell shield on Rekkles, Alistar with the ultimate. It's so hard for Vitality to make some picks with this Gragas and this Thresh.
Now, there was a ward being placed by Fnatic near the enemy crooks, and you can see also the mark from Kindred, of course. It was actually pinged by Fnatic when they put it down. And it can be one of these wards we shortly mentioned in the last game when you run these double TP ones. You want to have these deep lane wards, so when someone pushes out, if you have a 1v1 going between a Poppy and an Ekko, you can TP in there as the Lissandra behind Ekko where he doesn't expect it, 2v1 kill him. I think honestly maybe they've been hoping that Jhin would show up and it would happen to him. Instead they're saying, you know, it's not happening now, let's try and gank mid lane. Spirit is somewhat planting his face into the wall.
And we see another weakness of this Azir, something we talked about in the last game, that it is no longer 1-3-1, it's this 1-1-3.
Yeah.
Where everybody's stuck on the bottom lane, and that means that Fnatic, if you have control of the center of the board, you get access to so many plays. And that's what they're doing here with this push. With Sivir in the mid lane, they can rotate to the side lane. Worst case, they see members in the bottom lane, so they just go for the dive mid.
And Nukeduck is out, but they don't need to get the kill. They can just start wailing away at this tower with the minion wave already there. Nukeduck has almost no mana. You can't really defend this. Vitality are going around the side, and they've started the counter engage the collapse, but Gamsu sends the hammer flying, and he knocks KaSing back. Now he's surrounded into the box, but it doesn't matter. He's into the ground, and Fnatic can take this tower with ease.
That for me is the true beauty of this composition, as we see a casket from Shook. Spirit goes low.
Oh, Lamb's respite on, and they all group up to finish it off and get the heal to boot.
It is that you can always set up for these dives. And you can either knock people away when they're defending it or have Frozen Tomb. And even if you tell the opponent, hey, we're about to dive you, step away from your turret, you take the tower and you open up the map. And Fnatic is playing to their strengths beautifully.
And we just keep seeing Fnatic understand. When you're against an Azir, don't try and like 1v1 play against him. He's extremely strong there. Don't let him scale out the late game. Just play around him instead. And then in the end, force big fights. This here is now Vitality trying to react to a fairly poor situation. Like, let's try and collapse on them, flank them from the side and stop them around our own tower, but engage is very poor from them. And it is a thing for Vitality in the past. When it comes to synergizing engages, it's not been the greatest.
Yeah.
When you have a Thresh, you never want to send him in first. Like, he's not your engage. It has to be the Gragas flying in, knocking someone back. Has to be Ekko landing that stun, of course, with his W. Fantastic zone he also offers. When that isn't there, your team fights are very difficult to execute.
And we just have to start looking at player performances. Gamsu is shining brighter than Cabochard this game. Febiven is doing better than Nukeduck, some things that we weren't really seeing throughout the regular season. And Fnatic's looking to go 2-0 against the hailed super team, where anything less than first was failure. They may not even make it to Rotterdam.
Fnatic on their side, well on their way. They can keep this pace up. Turret successfully defended once again. And they force Vitality to really dance to their tune. They're forcing them to group up. And yeah, in a suboptimal situation.
Diving Nukeduck again.
Oh boy. There's the claw. He's out. I mean, Nukeduck hasn't gone down this game, and between those two summoners and his shifting sands, he's probably not going to as much, but it doesn't matter. They're losing ground.
But the purpose is to send them back to base so you can take objectives, whether it's towers, dragons, heralds, and barons. If you poke somebody out and he bases, that's essentially the same as just killing him on a shorter death timer. He's removed off the map, and suddenly you can take control. And that's what Fnatic is doing. They're just giving Vitality two bad choices: die or step away.
Yeah.
And in either situation, it works out for Fnatic.
Oh! Close one on the rift.
It's helping.
Shook was assisting on that. Febiven will pick this one up, so they have a little bit more pushing power as he moves up to the top side. He'll end up meeting Hjarnan there. Vitality, though, losing ground still. Not been able to find a tower, and they've lost all of their outers.
And it's not going to be easier for Vitality in this game, because this 3-1-1 comp we keep mentioning with the AD carry in side lane with support and jungle setup, it really struggles against double TP compositions, because it's so much quicker for the double TP to obviously make a play on the other side of the map. An AD carry can only push his lane and then run from the one lane he's at to the lane right next to it. He's never going to appear on the bottom side all of a sudden if he's on top side. So it's very slow for Vitality in the way they're playing, and Fnatic just keep ganking Nukeduck over and over and over.
And it also, everything relies in this 1-1-3 composition on having push priority, and they only have it in one lane right now, Vitality, the 3-man. But the Cabochard is consistently being pushed in by Gamsu, and in mid lane, Febiven is forced back, so this opens up for roams and then double TP.
TP's on both sides coming in. Febiven goes in on the glacial path, and they put Hjarnan against the wall and melt his health bar down to nil. KaSing now on the run. There's no one for the lantern to take, and Nukeduck, even though he gets the divide, still gets taken down to 0. And now Shook's caught. Nowhere to go, trying to get to his tower, but Headbutt Pulp says nay, and that is 3 kills to 0 for Fnatic.
And we actually see something we saw earlier today. If you watched Africa Freaks versus the Rocks Tigers, this is the same thing that happens. TP at one side, Ekko's like, I'm coming in, boys. Everybody starts dying, and he just ulties out and he goes back to his original
I'm leaving, boys.
Cabochard just got focused so hard that the only play he could make was ultimate back to his initial lane.
And we laugh at all this mid lane focus from Fnatic, keep ganking Nukeduck over and over. It's not because they hate Nukeduck. It's just because when he gets pushed back in his lane, it means that whoever Fnatic is sitting in mid lane, again, most of the time it will be the Sivir, you can just leave that lane instantly, and you can walk straight to the side lanes. So when Vitality are trying to push with this 3-man group, look on your minimap here. Rekkles and Klaj are already on top side. Look how far back Nukeduck is, because he got pushed back from another gank.
And they
set up the TP. They know everything. They have full vision of him. And that's why they set up these plays in side lanes. You can never push as this 3-man group of Vitality, because your mid laner is getting forced back towards his own base every single time, so you have no map control. And once you lose mid lane, you lose side lanes.
Yeah, we saw Spirit just tear a new one for Nukeduck right there. He just came in and tried to enter the fight, but he just got destroyed. Cabochard is his post-ulti when he's walking back to lane, and it just shows you this game exactly highlights the strength of this composition. You have Lissandra, which is a great force pusher. She can always decide to push a wave. Worst case, you give her help, and then you rotate. And we have to call it what it is. Vitality were overextended in the top lane. That was just a clear-out mistake from them. You can't afford to do that against a double TP comp.
But there's nothing Vitality can afford to do almost at this point, because if you cannot even overextend on that lane and try and push it in with your 3-man group, you can't do anything. Like, that's it. Right?
Might as well forfeit.
Yeah, you can just go back and try and take a 5-on-5 team fight where you are, at the moment, behind in almost every single lane. So it's a very, very smart pick and ban phase from Fnatic, and they showed they can execute early to mid game, where Vitality in the last game had somewhat of the same, should we say, win condition. Had to play very aggressive in the early to mid game, play around side lanes. They failed to do it.
This is just where you have to question how Shans gave away Poppy, Sivir, and Lissandra. I don't think that trio should ever go to any team, because I've yet to see a solid reply from some teams. But two very predictable and easily executable, but very strong gameplay patterns, which is the push, then the roam, the division, the dives with the double teleport, unless you match it with another TP mid laner that can somehow challenge Lissandra and push.
I actually think Vitality coming into this has tunneled too hard on not Azir specifically, but what you need to ban and pick around him to try and make him work. Because Jhin was locked in as the first rotation because they didn't want Fnatic to play Jhin against Azir. They're like, oh, we don't want this long-range poke against Azir. That's one of the counters to him, so we will take it. But that gave away the Sivir pick. It could have been an Azir-Sivir first rotation.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And suddenly, you would have a lot more fast-paced pushing coming in from Vitality. The Jhin versus a strong comp, but yeah, and we've seen this before. Nukeduck is getting forced off his little toy tower in the mid lane.
That Sivir fell through so far in picks and bans, and Fnatic have been able to grab so much. You really, if you're Shans, you have to look at this game, you have to look at last game, and realize what's going wrong, because Klaj instantly unbreakables, and he is not in any kind of trouble. Wave pressure on the top side for Fnatic as Shook in mid-dash gets bopped up.
Yeah.
Still some wards around the side for Vitality. They're not completely blind to what's going on, but blind or not, you're 7K down. It's 22 minutes.
And Fnatic right now, they're setting their sights on the Baron. So they do step 1, which is the deep vision. Now they're looking to push up mid lane somehow while having pressure in the bottom. And then they have different paths. They can either start the Baron, which is probably the most likely they're ever going to lose a fight if they start it and then get a Baron stolen. But they're more likely just going to use it to force Vitality again in one of those situations where all they can do is make mistakes. Face check or just straight up lose the Baron.
Yeah, or if you're a Fnatic, you start the Baron knowing that you're not going to finish it.
Yeah.
Because you just want to force the double TP, also the teleport from Cabochard, and then Febiven will follow him. You disengage. Right after, you just put Gamsu on the bottom lane. And you say, all right, who's going to defend now? Because no one can follow. So he goes to the bottom lane, you push it in, and then you can start the Baron and get a 4v5 team fight. So there are a lot of great opportunities for Fnatic now.
Just need pink wards.
Oh, the pink wards, Krepo.
I know you've had a little bit of cause to cheer, but
There are quite some.
more. Here's a couple more in there. Teleport for Febiven, stopped on the box, but he turns for Hjarnan right now. Can he take the Lantern out?
Nope.
No!
Blocked.
Steadfast presence says blocked up. And now Spirit flashing right over the Emperor's Divide. A huge amount of damage on a Nukeduck, and he is out of this fight.
This is the second fight where Spirit is pretty much 1v1ing Nukeduck in the backline, while Hjarnan gets absolutely destroyed. This early rotation, first rotation Jhin pick is getting obliterated this game.
And again, you keep moving the Jhin to side lane because that's the way you want to try and play this composition if you're Vitality. You have no way of escaping from long lanes. You only have the Lantern from Thresh, that's it.
He doesn't fit into the Azir comp because they both want the mid lane in the mid game. Right now, Shook needs to steal this Baron.
Going solo here, Shook trying to be the hero, throws it in, they catch Gamsu, Big Barrel comes out, but Shook, he's distracted, can't do a thing, and the Baron goes over. Fnatic now start to plow through Cabochard, and they've taken him out. It's Rekkles with a kill on that one, and they keep on running on the hunt, not quite available yet, but they just don't need it. Nukeduck, Shook, scattered to the winds, and KaSing now knocked back in. Gamsu gets the kill, climbing up the scoreboard right now. Fnatic just shredding every member, but it's a return kill for Hjarnan. With the curtain call, he's able to get at least one back. Maybe more. Spirit! Oh, he's down. That's a double kill for the Jhin.
Yeah, 3 kills go down here for Vital. A little greedy. The flash to trade support to support off the Baron is debatable. And then Fnatic, they don't actually take mind of Hjarnan respawning, but this is how it all started. Teleports come in early.
Yeah, play we've seen before. Vitality trying to play with the 3-man in side lane. Hjarnan gets collapsed on, he dies, nothing he can do as a Jhin. Spirit, of course, in the back here. This Kindred pick has really been working for him. It's a massive pick over in the LCK. Obviously, Spirit is talking probably to a lot of his friends over there as well, being like, oh, guys, what are we playing at the moment? Okay, Kindred's very strong. This is how you want to play it. He's not as far ahead in this game compared to the last one, but still, when you get that more of Memorges, you actually become a bruiser.
Yeah, just use the base damage and become tanky at the same time. Kind of similar to Graves. Look at Klaj here, goalkeeping Shook out after the hammer misses. Just getting him away from the Baron as far as he can. Then obviously you have Kindred ultimate to keep yourself alive. We have to contrast the utility of these picks though. So far, KaSing's Thresh, while we praise him as a better player, he's done absolutely nothing in this game.
Yes, and the same can be said for this Gragas pick for Shook. This game and last game. Obviously, this one is tough. You fall very far behind. There are no open team fights for Gragas to use. But still, when we look at Shook as a player, he's the Kindred type. He's the Nidalee type. He's the man who wants to power farm, invade enemy jungle, and skirmish you. He's never been much of a team fighter. He's been put on a team fighting pick twice now because it is a fantastic pick in the meta. But in the last game, there was missed opportunities when it came to engages. This game, he never really got put in a situation where he actually could engage.
As they back out and disengage on that one. 10,000 gold is the lead for Fnatic. I'm glad you brought up Klaj, though, as well, because while Shook, the more questionable member of his team, has been definitely struggling and on the lower end of his performance, Klaj has stepped it up. We have seen him set up engages, set up disengages. He was the hero to knock Shook away from that whole fight. As the curtain call comes in now and the siege is on the tower, Gamsu is just going to body block this one, and they just keep taking down towers.
And he's not even played every fight perfect, because I've been keeping an eye on him. There's obviously things he can improve, but he's just delivering, and he's no longer making those minor mistakes where he's stepping too far forward and being caught off guard.
Mitch, he's learning what every support has to learn, has to realize.
Should have learned.
Should have learned, I guess, in your case. You don't have to be the carry as a support. You don't need to be the guy always getting the sick flank engage on an Alistar, knocking 3 guys and headbutting back 1 guy. You don't have to be that guy. Especially not when you're new joining the team and you're still learning. he's taking the support role, basically. He's staying with his team right now. He's doing the simple plays instead of the big plays, and it's been working for him because he's not being caught out, which is important for Klaj.
Right. And while Fnatic have been knocking down these turrets and forcing these fights on Vitality, they've also found time to very quietly stack up Dragons. They just hit number 3 right now. So they've got the move speed boost. Vitality have got nothing in the tower department. No other objectives on this map. And they are quite broke compared to Fnatic.
I don't even think Vitality will probably get a tower. I mean, we are at this point where Fnatic are still so far ahead with their comp, and it's not going to slow down at all. Even late game, if you look at a Kindred late game, is great.
No,
Sivir,
it speeds up. You got
Sivir
Sivir.
is so strong in the late game, and Poppy is just the S tier top lane pick, especially with Trundle being banned.
Yeah, once this home guards gets enabled too, like Fnatic, they're in position to fight on their like turf or on their ground, so they can always decide when they want to pick a fight. And if they're keeping as smart as they have been, I don't see how Vitality is ever going to win a fight, because teleport flying from Gamsu just will annihilate anybody. Kindred has been 1v1ing people in the backline, and it's impossible to take Rekkles now.
That being said, that Baron fight did turn out to be a 3v3, or the extended after fight, but mostly because of a couple Fnatic mistakes. You can't imagine they'll be making those consistently. That was the most kills that they've given up this game, and it really...
I mean, how did it unfold? It was a long, drawn-out fight where people split up, and then Curtain Call was used to pick people off. But what have Fnatic been doing? They've been setting up fights, engages where Hjarnan has, a lifespan of maybe 4 seconds, and then he's dead. He's gone. There's no lantern to take, because he's either in an Ice Tomb, or he's getting blocked by Steadfast Presence.
And now if you are Vitality, you can't play side lanes anymore with your Jhin. Like, that's not going to happen. So the amount of ways you can play out this game is limited to almost one, which is try and get a team fight going.
You hide him in the lane, you put somebody to start a duel, seemingly 1v1, and then the Jhin W comes out and you get a snare. That's seemingly the only play pattern that Vitality can go for.
Right, so again, you have 4 men together and 1 guy in side lane, which is Cabochard.
Oh, Rekkles may get caught here.
Oh, he does, and he gets knocked back in. Spell Shield comes in a little bit too late. The hook is going to land onto Spirit. A teleport coming around from the back, and another one coming around the front. Shook, though, is already a little low. Gamsu exhausted, but he turns around from KaSing, and this is a very messy fight with Cabochard coming in around the side. Chrono breaks, but is it too late for him? Has to flash into the Baron pit, followed by Spirit, jumps over, dance of arrows, Febiven comes in, and that's a double kill.
A little bit of miscommunication there. Febiven and Gamsu going both at the same time, as we see Hjarnan almost drop here. Gamsu has E available soon. Klaj healing for Nukeduck. Nukeduck should be dead here.
1 auto attack, and that's all Rekkles needs for the long-range boomerang follow. 3 members down for none. They're starting to push inhibitors.
Yeah, when Febiven went in, the hammer time came down, and he kind of swung all of his opponents out, but he still got shook down. And it all started with a good pickup on Vitality, but they weren't on the same page with their skill shots, and if they don't make that stick, it's over.
Right, again, you are not able to execute your composition, but we talked about how Fnatic or Vitality had like 1 play. Go 4-man mid, try and catch someone to start a fight with the Gragas, and like that's it. And if that doesn't work, you lost. But even that is not even a great play. Like, that's the key thing again. Is these fights for Vitality, it's just like Hail Marys. They're just trying to have that one last play where they get something that can maybe get them back in the game. They actually even also missed the crit here from Hjarnan with the last hit because people are out of range there. And then Engage coming in, double TP Febiven, sees the backline. I mean, so does Gamsu at the same time.
Knocks him away. It all starts with just the body slam there, and then the follow-up from Hjarnan. He tried to use that deadly flourish to connect, and that could have one-shot Rekkles, because then he can't spell shield anymore. He gets one shot, but there was miscommunication. I don't think Shook should have actually went for the barrel there, and he should have just relied on a follow-up from Hjarnan over the wall. And this is obviously how it ended, with Nukeduck falling down with a traveling auto attack from Rekkles. But Vitality need to be on the same page with these Jhin comps.
Yeah, 2nd game in a row. They're having such a hard time. If they lose this one, they'll be down to match point without having picked up a single thing against Fnatic, who are just surging in this. 1.5 minutes until the next Dragon's available. Baron now becomes a baitable object, and there are 2 downed inhibitors. Vitality are hurting.
And even though the composition from Vitality in game 1 was just fine, they have shown that they can't execute these 3-1-1 comps, where it's the AD carry, support jungler on one side lane, and Azir sitting mid. And then you rely on these synergized engages with your jungler. They haven't been able to execute it. And Fnatic have just been running over them, honestly, 2 games running.
This might be a good fight, though, because they can kite. This is like the one fight they want, where Fnatic all engage from the front door,
And you deal 0 damage.
Deal 0 damage on Cabochard. If you then opt in for the fight and you keep chasing the Azir, that's the one they lose. But Fnatic smartly opt out. Yeah, Cabo locked in the bot lane, no TP, so it's a 45 on Baron.
They're already starting it up. It's down to 7,000 health, and the rest of Vitality starting to collapse, but the best they can hope for is a 4v5, unless Cabochard puts his walking shoes on. Shook is already booted out, and they take down the Baron easy.
They're getting everything. Fnatic playing close to perfect in this series here. Definitely deserving of the 2-0. They are going to get very, very soon. They are pushing in, hopefully for Fnatic for the last time in this game, because you have super minions coming, you have 5 members here.
I mean, regardless what happens next week, if Fnatic do win here, that means Febi gets to go to Rotterdam. That's obviously something they're playing for. They really want to make it to that offline event. Now they're looking to finish. Cabo goes in.
Yep, they're trying to find a little bit of something, but Cabo's going to have to chrono break back towards his team. Klaj goes in, lots of his health bar used to knock Nukeduck in. There's a big divide, but it's not going to be enough to take anyone else down. Klaj might be down, but Fnatic are knocking on the front door. Nukeduck, that damage is evaporated. The Nexus turrets are falling. Fnatic have gotten everything in this game. Vitality, they've got nothing, and Fnatic are on match point.
I mean, we're seeing a team here change up the pick and ban phase a little bit because they were blue side, and honestly, loved every single one of the picks. Spirit is happy.
Spirit also loves these picks and the camera.
He gets to play his Kindred. He's been on fire today, but again, the first pick Poppy was spot on. Obviously, the Trundle ban, and then saying, oh, you're going to pick Azir? Well, we have Lissandra waiting. Vitality in this game made mistakes in pick and bans, but in game, it was the same deal. Fnatic were just completely outplaying them.
Game 1 was risky and slow in their comp. We still don't really agree with everything they did, but they played it out smart, beautiful, and game 2, they get this fantastic composition. They use the same brain, and they completely annihilate Vitality. There was almost nothing they could do, especially after that little failed invade level 1, where they lose the crucial levels, the 1 to 3, where you can absolutely murder a Sivir, but it didn't happen. Rekkles, Klaj, even against ganks, they survived, and all these issues have been fixed.
Give us more Lissandra Sivir.
Yeah, I mean, I think Vitality is going to think the exact opposite.
That is beautiful.
What can they ban out?
Vitality has to play this kind of comp, where you enable Shook as well as a carry, not as an engager in team fights, because it's not working for the team.
They have 2 members on the wrong position. Like Shook's playing utility tanks when he wants to play duelers, and Cabochard is also stuck on these
He
tanks.
has to play the
meta
tanks.
shifted towards Fnatic here.
Yeah, and it's definitely working out in their favor. We'll send it back to the analyst desk to break down match.